So, three best friends have finally met in a cafe to discuss some business. Val orders a big cake with fruit. Simon asks for a glass of soda. And Leo takes an energy bar out of his bag and starts eating it. The waiter brings the cake and the soda and leaves. Simon drinks from his glass, but Val doesn't touch the cake. Why? There are slices of tomatoes and cucumbers on it. Val asked for a fruitcake. An archaeologist makes his way through the dense jungle of an unknown island. He's looking for a valuable treasure, a 2,000-year-old ancient cup. If he manages to get it, he can sell the artifact for millions of dollars. He comes out to a small lake with a waterfall. He dives under the water and notices two caves. The cup is inside one of them. Where should the archaeologist go? Think faster, he's running out of air. He needs to swim to the left cave. Air bubbles are floating out, which means there is some dry land inside the cave. Friends invited George to a picnic. He arrives at the agreed place in the forest, finds a wide clearing, and sees a group of 7 people there. None of them are his friends. Apparently, he's come to the wrong location. George is about to leave this place, but he notices that 3 people are not human. Find them. Look at the way that girl over there blinks. Ooh, creepy. This granny's cane is part of her hand, not a separate object. This guy is charging the phone through a cable connected to his leg. Well, that's convenient. 3 guys are sitting on the sidewalk. They're all in dirty clothes and look tired. Each of them hopes to get some money from people who are passing by. But nobody helps them, since one of these homeless people only pretends to be poor. Passers-by see this and don't want to help any of them. Who do you think is pretending? Look at this bald guy. You can notice a smartwatch on his wrist. Marshall has lost his shoes in a swamp, so now he's walking through the woods barefoot. It's getting cold and dark. Fortunately, he notices a small house ahead. Marshall hears someone singing inside. But before entering the building, he needs to choose one of these dangerous roads. The first one is swarming with poisonous scorpions. Broken glass covers the second path. Weird purple flowers grow on the third road. Which way should Marshall pick? This seems to be a tricky question, but there's no trick. Obviously, he needs to choose the path with the flowers. Marshall comes up to the house, peeks inside through the window, and recoils. A pale woman is rocking a crib with a straw puppet in it and singing a lullaby. A TV is working, but Marshall can't see what's on. Without turning her head to Marshall, the woman says she knows about the stranger standing outside. Marshall starts running away from this place as fast as possible. But how did the woman know about him? There's a hidden camera on the porch. The woman is watching the recording on the TV. Samantha has been wandering through the desert for several hours. The sand is so hot that she can't touch it. Samantha notices a tent far ahead. It's definitely not a mirage. The girl quickens her pace and reaches the spot. She finds a bottle of water, 2 eggs, and a frying pan inside. Samantha quenches her thirst. Now she feels hungry, but it's dangerous to eat raw eggs in the desert. You can get food poisoning. Samantha decides to fry the eggs. She wanders around trying to find some firewood, but sees nothing but endless dunes. How can Samantha cook the eggs? She can put the pan on the sand. It's hot. The sun will add to this heat, and the eggs will fry. There's a huge rock on the shore of a paradise island. There's a castle on the top of this rock. The owner of the castle finds a broken TV in the morning. He calls all the people who were inside that night: a cleaner, a clown, and a laundryman. "Who broke my TV?" the owner asks. "I was washing the dishes in the kitchen. I didn't touch anything," the cleaner replies. "I was rehearsing for my tomorrow's performance," the clown says. "I was watching YouTube on my phone," the laundryman answers. "Give it to me," the owner demands. He presses the lock button, looks at the screen, and says the laundryman has lied to him. What did the owner see on the phone? There's no network signal or Wi-Fi connection. The internet isn't working. The laundryman couldn't be watching YouTube. After taking a shower, Albert realizes he's lost his wedding ring.
Oh no!
He searches all the cupboards and nightstands in every room, but can't find it. It seems that the ring fell down the drain. Oh no, his wife will return home soon, and she'll definitely notice this disappearance. Albert goes to the bathroom, looks around for the last time, and nothing. The wife enters the apartment. She looks at her husband, asks him to turn around, and pulls the ring out of his hair. It got caught there while he was in the shower. But how did the wife know the ring was there? Albert was facing her. There's a mirror behind Albert. The wife noticed the ring in the reflection. A young philosophy teacher starts an exam. His students listen to him very attentively. "Here's a task for you. Prove that I don't exist now. Those who will provide the most convincing arguments will get a high score." All the students passed the exam in a few seconds. How did they do it? They just walked out of the room. There's no teacher, so there's no exam. Alexis is walking along the street with her purse hanging from her shoulder. She's holding her hands in front of her face, but we can't see what she's doing. A motorcycle appears from around the corner behind. The driver notices Alexis. Now he wants to steal her bag. The biker is accelerating. He's stretching his hand out, but Alexis steps aside at the last moment. The biker drives away. How did she figure out the guy wanted to rob her? She was looking into a small mirror, checking her makeup. When she noticed the biker in the reflection, the girl stepped aside. There's an old, abandoned warehouse in the city. People say it's a haunted place. Everyone is too afraid to go there. But one day, 3 boys and 2 girls decide to visit the building and paint graffiti on its walls. They approach the warehouse, but one girl, Rachel, refuses to come inside. She wants to wait for her friends outside. The rest of the group goes into the house. They're already gone for a few minutes. Rachel is about to call them, but at this moment, all 3 boys and 1 girl come out of the house. Rachel realizes that ghosts live in the warehouse and runs away. How did she know that? 4 people entered the building and 4 people came out. Where's the catch? One of the boys is different. It's not their friend. Besides, look at his legs. They're slightly transparent. Rachel immediately noticed this and ran away. Kenny is walking through an old abandoned hospital. There are portraits of doctors and some patients on the walls. Kenny illuminates his way with a flashlight. He goes down to the first floor and sees several people in white lab coats. They seem pretty normal and friendly. They're not the guys Kenny saw on the portraits, but he still realizes these doctors are ghosts. How did he figure it out? He was using a flashlight. When he pointed the beam at those people, they didn't cast shadows. It means they were not real. It's evening. Courtney leaves her house to go for a walk to the lake. The moon is shining, the water is calm, there's no wind. Courtney enjoys the silence and the chirping of crickets. She sits down on the grass, closes her eyes, and begins to meditate. At this moment, several people come out of the water. They sit next to Courtney, but she doesn't panic. She realizes she dozed off while meditating and sees a dream now. How did she know that? This time, trust your ears, not your eyes. Firstly, the sound of crickets disappeared. Also, there was no splashing heard when those people came out of the water. The prince of an unknown country arranged a huge party in his homeland. He invited all his friends and lots of celebrities, actors, musicians, and so on. And here he is, on the stage. He takes the microphone and thanks everyone for coming. But he sees only a few people in the hall. Yet he invited many more people. There are simple workers and rich people among his friends. They all live in different countries all over the world. Why haven't any of them arrived? The party is in an unknown country, remember? How could guests buy airplane tickets to an unknown place? Hey, I got a point there. Someone stole a collection of vinyl records from a rock star's house. To escape, the robber hid the records in a trash container. Then he disappeared into a dark alley. Fortunately, Detective Richardson caught him, along with 2 other suspects. Take a look at them. Who do you think the thief is? Look at this guy's shoes. An old banana peel has stuck to his sneaker. That's because he's been to the trash container.
Are you ready to dive into sci-fi madness? Let's go! Somewhere in outer space, a show has just begun on a giant asteroid. A glowing star guy is reading poetry. His viewers are little stone people. The artist is saying beautiful words with passion. He puts his heart and soul into the performance. He's finishing. A shining tear is rolling down his cheek. He bows to the audience, but no one is clapping. In fact, they don't react at all. Why? Because this is outer space. There's no sound here. Somewhere in the vast valleys of Mars, races on rovers are taking place. 5 cars are driving at high speed toward the finish line. 3 racers soon leave the others behind, but only one of them will be the winner. Take a look at the dashboard of each of the drivers. Try to figure out who will be the first to come to the finish line. The speedometer arrow on the first rider's dashboard shows the maximum speed, but he won't win because the fuel indicator is flashing. The second racer seems to be fine, but look at the mirror. No one is reflected there. The car is moving without a driver. The third driver will win. Each of these 3 friends is going on a journey. They have already packed their suitcases and filled the tanks of their spaceships. This guy says he wants to visit Neptune. That girl is going to check on her friends who live on Mars. This man is flying to Venus. Which of them is lying? Venus is very close to the sun. It's a scorching hot place. And this man is wearing warm clothes. He's probably lying. Show me your hands! The head of the Department of Extraterrestrial Beings screams. 3 detainees are sitting at the table. One of them is not human. Look at their hands. Who do you think is an imposter from another planet? Yeah, this guy has 6 fingers, but there are people on Earth who have such hands. Look at this girl. She has shining green eyes. Apparently, she's not from our planet. 3 wanderers are walking on the dark side of the moon. They're tired and lost. Fortunately, a rescue spaceship spots them. The travelers beg to take them on board, but there is only one seat. The first wanderer carries a heavy box with meteorite rocks. He's tired and can no longer walk with this load. The second guy carries nothing, but he looks sick. The third wanderer says he's exhausted because he's extremely thirsty. He hasn't drank for 2 days. Who really needs help? Gravity is much weaker on the moon than on Earth, so the first wanderer's box should be quite light. He just pretends to be tired. The third wanderer has a chance to get some water. Do you see a small rescue station in the distance? H2O is written on it, so he can find water there. But the second wanderer really needs help. The indicator on his spacesuit signals a low oxygen level. The inhabitants of Planet Quest love adventures. Their favorite place is a dangerous park on a desert planet near a black hole. So one guy named Lup goes there. He needs to try to survive there for 1 week. As soon as he arrives at the park, he comes across a space cockroach that has 6 heads. The cockroach jumps on Lup and bites him with one of its heads. Lup fights off the monster and gets back to the ship. The bite is venomous, but fortunately, Lup has an antidote. First, he needs to drink 1 pill that contains medicine, and after that, a catalyst that activates the cure. Then, Lup needs to repeat it 2 hours later. But the problem is the pills with the medicine and catalyst look similar, and Lup has mixed them in his pocket. He can't take 4 tablets at once because it's dangerous, so how can he separate them? Lup needs to crush all the pills and divide the powder into 2 equal parts. One is for now, and the other he'll swallow 2 hours later. There will be the same amount of catalyst and antidote in each part. You're on planet Veveki in the Purple Pencil Nebula. Right now you're wandering through a dark forest. The trees are covered with pieces of toilet paper instead of leaves. You know you have company in the woods, a werewolf. You come to a rocky cliff and see 3 bridges leading to the other side of the forest. There are people on every bridge. Which one is the werewolf? It can be anybody, but it doesn't matter. No one can turn into a werewolf since there's no full moon here. This is not Earth, remember? A dwarf planet illuminates the sky. Welcome to the moon again. Right now, you witness the most incredible jumping competition. Thanks to the weak gravity on Earth's natural satellite, athletes can jump really high. But which of them will jump the highest? The participants put on their spacesuits and walk out of the atmospheric station. They seem to be ready. 3, 2, 1, jump! And we see the winner. She's jumped much higher than her opponents. But wait, there's something wrong here. This participant is not worthy of the title of the winner. She cheated. But how did you understand that? It's a hologram. All the participants left footprints on the ground after jumping and landing. But this girl has left no traces, which means she's not real. On the shore of Molten Gum, far away from the village of Talking Stones, there's a big house. This building is different from all others in this neighborhood since it exists in 2-dimensional space. The owner is a rich architect, Mr. Ali Lee Bulb, who has just woken up after a 90,000-second nap. He finds a broken diamond banana in the kitchen. Mr. Ali Lee Bulb gets angry and calls everyone who was in the house while he was sleeping. He's going to find out who broke his amazing piece of jewelry. Big closed eye, cardboard giraffe with glasses, and 3-headed pelican come into the living room.
Tell me who broke the banana.
Mr. Ali Lee Bulb says. I didn't do that. I was visiting rich old people in their dreams, Big closed eye tells him.
I was watching the Liquid Laughter 3D movie in the living room all this time,
the giraffe says.
I have no idea who I am and what's going on here. I haven't touched your banana,
said one of the pelican's heads. Mr. Ali Lee Bulb immediately realizes who's lied to him. And you? It's Cardboard Giraffe. He couldn't watch a 3D movie since the house only exists in 2 dimensions. It happened on a dark night on a purple planet. A fluffy snake crawled into the house where a purple guy was sleeping. It bit him, and the purple guy decided to go to a hospital. He told the doctor everything. She looked at the guy attentively and told him the snake hadn't been venomous. How did she know that? It was 3:45 a.m. on the clock in the guy's room. Now it's 11:45 p.m. on the clock in the examination room. The purple guy has spent almost a day trying to get to the hospital. So far, nothing bad has happened to him, which means the snake was not poisonous. The king of a tiny planet has no heirs. But then, who will become the ruler of this world? To choose the best candidate, the king gives every inhabitant one seed. "Whoever grows the most beautiful flower will get the planet," the king tells them. "Come back in 2 months." 2 months later, everyone came back with beautiful flowers. Among hundreds of candidates, there was one girl with an empty pot, and her brother with the most beautiful flower. The king said they would rule the planet. Why them? All the seeds were fake, and the girl didn't want to deceive the king by replacing the seed. Meanwhile, her brother put a lot of effort into growing the most beautiful plant to achieve his goal. Rain falls upward in this world, cars move backward, broken glass repairs itself, pens erase words from paper, chickens hide back in the egg at the end of their life. So you get it, time runs backward here. But something is wrong in this world. What is it? Try to look beyond the picture you've just seen before answering. The correct answer is my voice. It's not reversed. Space monsters are chasing you inside an abandoned space station somewhere at the edge of a faraway galaxy. They're stretching their toothy tentacles towards you. Fortunately, you manage to jump into a rescue ship and get out of there. Suddenly, you realize that the ship has no brakes. There's an asteroid belt to your left. A small black hole is on the right, and a red star is in the middle. Which way should you choose? None of these. Don't forget that you can also fly up or down. You're in outer space. It's raining diamonds every day on this planet. The rays of the closest star that warms this world contain gold particles. Banknotes grow on trees. Seas glow green because the water is filled with emeralds. Despite all this wealth, people don't want to live here. Why? Gold particles in the air can damage human lungs within seconds. Money trees don't produce oxygen, and there are no fish in the water because of the emeralds. People simply can't exist there. I have some more riddles for you today. Let's start with the easy ones for a warm-up. Can you find the odd one out? Yep, here it is. Here's another one. Find an odd one out here then. Perfect, here it is. How about this one? Right here. Did you find it? And it's getting harder. What about the odd one out here? Look, it's this one. All the other hands are the right ones, and this one is the only left hand. Now I'll show you two pictures. Your task is to find 5 differences between them. Ready? Here they are. How many did you spot? Let's do it one more time. Find 5 differences here. Keep your eyes wide open. So did you manage to do it? I think you're now prepared for more hardcore tasks. Let's start with decoding. Detective Callum has been searching for a missing girl, Riley, for 3 weeks. He was in his office going through the case for the 100th time when he got an anonymous email saying, "Can you guess what's written here?" It's just written in reverse order. If you read it from right to left, the message turns into, "The girl is in a hidden room beneath the Central Cafe. Bring $500 and I will tell you the passcode." Someone robbed a bank, and Detective Callum was leading the investigation. There were 2 robbers, but the police managed to catch only one of them, Dante. Dante refused to name his accomplice, but the police had 3 suspects, Bree, Ivory, and Ronan. Detective Callum took a brief look at them and knew exactly who the second robber was. Who was it, and how did he know? It's Ivory. Look, she has the exact same tattoo on her wrist as Dante. Holland went to work and asked her boyfriend, Kyler, to walk the dog. Kyler agreed, but then his friend called him and suggested to come over to play a new video game. So, Kyler decided to skip the dog walk and went straight to his friends. Holland and he met right outside the house when they were both going back home. Kyler said that he'd walked the dog and then went to play with his friend. But Holland knew that he was lying. How? It's winter, so just look at the footprints. There are Holland's footprints on the snow going both ways, and Kyler's footprints going both ways too, but there are no footprints of the dog. Someone in a little town was stealing bicycles. Every time someone's bike was stolen, the owner would find a business card with 2 emojis printed on it. The police had 3 main suspects, Ocean Walker, Rebecca Smith, and Damian Jones. Who is the robber? The emojis signify the name. They are a wave and a person walking, so the robber must be Mr. Ocean Walker. On Wednesday, after a break, Nash came to his desk and found a short love note written in red ink. It wasn't signed, but Nash had 3 girls in mind, so he asked each of them if she had written him the note. Layla said that she'd been chatting with her friends and didn't write any notes. Dawn said that she was busy all break finishing her homework. Oakley said that she had been in the bathroom and had just come back. Who do you think wrote the note? Look, Oakley's hands are covered in ink. It's blue ink, but still. If she really was in the bathroom, her hands would be clean. So she must be lying, and she must be the one who wrote that note. Adley was kidnapped and woke up in a dungeon. There were 3 ways out, but they all looked dangerous. Behind one door, there were many little robots that were ready to attack her. Behind the second door, there were 3 trained tigers. Behind the third door, there were 3 big and very hungry dogs. Which way should Adley choose to get out safely? The best choice must be the first door. Although they're robots, they're still super small and probably can't cause her much harm. Right before a restaurant was about to open, someone had stolen all the money from the cashier's desk. A cook said that he was working in the kitchen and didn't have any free time. The security guy said that he was in the bathroom and didn't see anything. The waiter said that there was a suspicious visitor peeking around. Who do you think stole the money? The restaurant was still closed and there couldn't be any visitors, so the waiter must have lied and is probably guilty. Ned works in a club, and his job is to check people's ID cards and not to let suspicious people or folks under 21 in. Take a look at ID cards and help him decide if he can let each visitor in or not. Here's the first one. What do you think? She seems fine. Let her in. Okay, here's the next visitor. What do you say? June 31st does not exist. There are just 30 days in June, so nope. What about this guy? Something is wrong once again. Even though February 29th theoretically exists, there was no February 29th in 1977. It's every year that can be divided by 4. Okay, what do you think about this girl? I don't see anything suspicious about her. Here's another candidate for the club. What do you think? Well, he is 22, and he seems fine to me. Let him in. A student was having an oral chemistry exam and was struggling with his last task. His professor decided to help him and have some fun, so he said that instead of the task, the student could guess his daughter's name. He only had one guess, but there was a hint. He wrote down several numbers: 32, 10, 14, 16. What's the professor's daughter's name? It's a chemistry class and chemistry professor, so there must be something related to chemistry. Look, there's even a periodic table in the background to help you. The 32nd element is germanium, or Ge, and the 10th one is neon, or Ne, and the 14th one is silicon, or Si, and finally, the 16th element is sulfur, or S. Together, they form the name Genesis. A bank was robbed, but they couldn't find the robber. A week later, at night, Detective Callum woke up from a call from a local shop's owner. He said that he found the money under his terrace. Detective Callum arrived, but there was only half of the money stolen. The man said that he had seen a man by his shop a week ago. It was a full moon, so he could see that the man had red hair and was wearing a dark hoodie. Still, the shop owner was arrested. Why? The shop owner said it was a full moon a week ago, but look, it's a full moon right now, so the man must be lying about something. In history class, students were asked to prepare a presentation about their ancestors. Edwin told about his great-great-grandpa who moved to New York and started as a salesman and then built a huge business. He even showed a photograph of his young grandpa in New York, but no one believed Edwin's story. Why? Even though the picture is black and white and looks old, old New York looks very much like modern New York, with dozens of skyscrapers. The class noticed and figured out that it definitely wasn't a real photo. Royce called the police and reported that someone had robbed his house. Detective Callum arrived and asked Royce to tell exactly what happened. Royce said that he had walked into his room and saw someone getting out of the window. It was still open because Royce didn't care to close it or touch anything before the police arrived. He checked his wardrobe and found that his savings had been stolen. Detective Callum closed the case. Why? The robber couldn't go out the window without stepping on the bed, but the bed is perfectly made, so it looks like no one was leaving through the window. Kaya was studying in the library. She went to the bathroom and left her things on the desk. When she returned, she found that her wallet had been stolen. She called the police and they interrogated the 3 students who were also in the library. Andre said that he had left the library right after Kaya to get a drink from the vending machine and hadn't touched any of her things. Poppy said that she was studying the whole time and not paying attention to anything. Rhea said that she was in the other part of the library looking for a book she needed and hadn't seen anything suspicious either. Who stole the wallet? It was Andre. He said that he had left to get a drink in a vending machine. But look, there's no drinks in the vending machine, only snacks. A young man named Colton was living with his best friend Cassidy. One morning, he called the police because Cassidy wasn't breathing. He said that he'd been working all day and had returned home late, so he hadn't seen her or talked to her for over a day. In the morning, he found her in bed like that. Last night, Cassidy had a headache and had to take many pills, so maybe that was the reason. Colton was immediately arrested. Why? Colton obviously didn't communicate with Cassidy, but he still somehow knew what she was doing in the evening. He must have come up with all of it, as he is probably guilty.
This fresh set of optical illusions will definitely challenge your visual perception. If your brain isn't happy when you look at things that spin and flash, be careful and get somebody to watch this astonishing illusionary art with you. Ready? Go full screen and let's get started. Take a look at this pair of circles. It's not an illusion. They're identical, and they do rotate. But they don't actually move across the screen. The arrows confuse your brain, so it seems that the circles are shrinking and even moving back and forth. If you manage to focus your gaze so that they stop moving, you're a wizard. What about this shining star? Is it static or dynamic? Although the star seems to be pulsing, its size doesn't change at all, but its popping color creates an illusion of movement. Let's move on to our next one. Check this out. Can you spot any movement? This picture is static, but if you take your time to look at these flowers carefully, your brain will definitely convince you that they're moving. What about this picture? The direction of this pattern makes the brain think that the circle is rotating to the left, but it's a lie. The same goes for this cute pattern. Can you see it spinning around? What about this picture? Can you spot any movement? Well, in this case, it's not surprising because this image is animated. An optical illusion is not always an optical illusion, so be careful. Let's take a look at the next one. This star seems to be dancing because its asymmetrical shape confuses your brain's expectations. Maybe it's time to ask ourselves, what else is my brain lying to me about right now? What can you say about this beautiful pattern? Is it just a basic optical illusion or an animated video? That's right, it's an animation. Here's our next one. If you focus all your attention on the middle of this picture, it will soon begin to move. But in fact, it stays the same. Don't let your brain play tricks on you. Your perception of this image may change if you blink a bunch of times and shake your head. Moving on, take a look at this tricky pattern. Is this image static? Yes, it truly is. Some optical illusions work by fooling around with contrasts in our field of vision. These two circles consist of small rotating striped circles. They appear to change the direction of rotating thanks to how our brains deal with information immediately within our focus. It's different from the way it processes peripheral information. You can see it when you focus on one circle and then on another. Are you dizzy yet? Let's move on to the next one. Zigzag is a great tool to create a bunch of optical illusions that can make you feel like you're flying. But this particular zigzag pattern is animated. Is it? Nope, it's a static picture. Be careful with zigzags. The next optical illusion will make you see with your eyes closed. All you have to do is stare at this Marilyn Monroe's nose at the center of this portrait. Continue staring at the same spot for at least 7 seconds, and try not to blink. Ready? 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now take a look at your ceiling and blink a bunch of times. Close your eyes. Can you still see the portrait? Don't worry, it'll disappear in a few seconds. This optical illusion is called an afterimage. It appears after you've stared at an image for some time. Usually, it requires around 30 seconds. Then you close your eyes or look at a white piece of paper afterwards. Overstimulation makes the rods and cones in your eyes lose sensitivity. That's why for a short period afterward, you interpret colors as their paired primary color. Now, let's take a look at this tricky pattern. Is this image static or dynamic? It's not an optical illusion. This pattern is animated. If you managed to guess, great job! Now, let's take a look at this one. Do these spheres move across the screen? Nope, they don't. If you were careful enough, you noticed the top moving when you squinted and concentrated on the spheres. This optical illusion is static. But if you take your time and focus on the center of the screen, it will begin to rotate. Let's move on to our next one. This optical illusion will make you feel like a magician and level up your concentration skills. At this point, you probably see that the static circles begin to move, pop, and spin slightly. But which way? There's no right answer here. The largest circle probably spins to the left. But if you switch your focus to the center of the image, the same circle will begin to spin to the right. The movement will change depending on which layer of this image you're currently focusing on. Arrows inside these colorful circles may confuse your vision. Try not to look at them, and you'll notice that the circles inside this illusion aren't changing their shape or moving at all. It's pretty clear that this crazy watermelon isn't spinning, isn't it? Nope. If you screw up with your eyes, you can verify this by focusing your gaze on the sphere. See? It doesn't move anymore. This figure can begin to move like a snake, and the black points will begin to blink white. But don't let your brain fool you. This image is still the same. Are you dizzy yet? Let's experiment with disappearing dots. Focus on the central green dot. Try not to blink for a while. You will see one or more of the yellow dots disappearing and then reappearing randomly. Here's another illusion with disappearing dots. thousands of people worldwide complained that this simple optical illusion had made them question reality. There are 12 black dots at the intersections of this image, but your brain won't let you see them all at once. Well, how many dots did you count? There are 12 black dots in this image, and it's a fact. But most people can't see all 12 dots at once. When you're focusing on that black dot in the center of your field of view, your visual system is automatically filling in what's going on around it. And this regular pattern of gray lines on a white background makes your brain suggest that there are no black dots at all. That's why you miss the intermittent black dots, or they disappear and reappear as your eye jitters around. This cute animation is also very tricky. It pictures a moon and 6 stars surrounding it. There's also a dotted circular layer moving in the background. Try not to move your head at all. If you manage to focus your eyes on the moon and stay perfectly still, you'll soon notice that the stars begin to disappear. How many of them did you make disappear? There's no one correct answer here. The number of disappeared stars depends on your perception. This tricky wheel can make your brain think that it rotates, but it's a lie. You may notice that the wheel changes the direction when you tilt your head to the right or to the left. This trick will make your hands melt like water. Don't worry, it's not forever. Keep staring at the center of the screen for 30 seconds. Try not to blink. Now, take a look at your hands. Are they melting? You can also look at some text and notice that your vision is wavy. Take a look at this tricky optical illusion. What can you say about this wheel? Is it static or dynamic? It's static. Your brain plays tricks on you. Now let's give your eyes a little break by changing the task. Can you spot an odd monkey out? Here it is. Can you find a different monster out? This guy in the right corner doesn't look as happy as the others. There are many zeros in here. Can you also see another hidden number? Here it is. Does this pattern consist of red apples only? Nope. Here's one tomato. Can you find 2 similar emojis among this variety? Here they are. What about this set of emojis? Can you see 2 identical emojis? Here they are. Take a look at these emojis. Are they all different? Nope. These 2 emojis are similar. How many emojis can you find among this variety? There are 3. What about this collection? Can you spot any identical emojis here? This task is tricky. All these emojis are different. If you manage to crack our trick, good job! Take a look at this set. Can you find a pair of identical emojis? Nope, it's impossible, because these two are similar. Does this cat crowd have any odd details? This guy over here is not a cat, it's a rabbit. Can you find a 4-leaf clover in here? Here it is. Lucky you. It's a cold night. Dark city streets, lights of driving cars, sounds of sirens, loud voices, chilly air, wet asphalt. Are you ready to get rid of the crime in this city? Then remember to count your correct answers. November 4th, 2021. It's been raining for 3 days, but even this is not enough to wash away all the dirt of the city. For several hours, Detective Sadfist had been sitting in his car near the house of a Hollywood star. The detective is sure that someone is going to rob her house. The actress doesn't believe in this. In the distance, he sees a tall man in a hat. He approaches the door and knocks. The actress opens the door and greets the stranger. "Oh, I'm sorry, I thought it was my house," he says. "It has a very similar design." The actress closes the door and the stranger leaves. The detective gets out of the car and arrests him because the man is a thief. Why is the detective so sure about this? If the stranger had really thought it was his house, he wouldn't have knocked on the door. He'd have tried to open it with a key. The detective takes the thief to the station. The rain is finally over. It promises to be a long night, so the detective goes to buy a coffee. At this moment, the radio reports an arson to the south of the central square. No time for coffee. Sadfist hits the gas pedal and drives to the place. He notices the flames from afar. 2 houses are burning. The detective notices several more police cars. A police officer tells him that one house belongs to a rich businessman. There's a lot of money inside. The owner of the second house is a poor artist. His paintings are burning now. Which house will the detective go to first to put out the fire? He's not a firefighter, so he won't approach either house. After watching the flames for a while, Detective Sadfist gets into his car and realizes he can't take it anymore. He needs some sleep. He doesn't want to go home because his house reminds him of her, and he doesn't need those memories at the moment. He decides to rent a hotel room. The detective asks the hotel administrator to wake him up at 7 a.m. "Of course," the man says, "but don't forget to call me first. Then I'll come to wake you up. One call will be enough." What does the detective need to do to make the lazy guy wake him up? He can set an auto call for 6:50 a.m. The detective enters the room and falls on the bed. At this moment, the door starts opening slowly. The faces of people he has thrown into jail appear out of the darkness. The detective sits up on the bed and the door slams shut. At first, Sadfist doesn't understand what just happened, but then he lets out a sigh of relief. It was just a nightmare. How has he figured it out? It's already light outside. It was dark when the detective checked into the hotel. That means he was asleep. A new day, a new case. The detective is going to the countryside. A girl has disappeared there. Sadfist intends to find her.
He stops his car near 3 houses. They're located on the ocean beach. 3 roads lead to the houses. Sharp rocks and shards of glass cover the first road. The second road is swarming with snakes. Lava is boiling on the third road. Which path should the detective choose? The ocean will soon cool the lava and turn it into stone. The detective follows the third path. He enters the house and finds the missing girl there. She confesses that she stayed late at a party, and her mother was so worried that she called the police. Detective Sadfist arrives at an office building in the center of the city. He goes up to the top floor. Here, a rich banker is lying unconscious. Someone hit him on the head and stole important documents from his safe. There's a tape recorder on the banker's desk. The detective turns it on. The banker's voice comes from the microphone. "My nephew. He called me a few minutes ago and said he would break into my office and take my documents. I don't know what to do. If something happens to me, you should know. My nephew Michael is to blame. Oh no, I think I heard the elevator doors open. I think it's him. He's here." The recording ends. "We must find his nephew," one of the police officers says. "I don't think so. The nephew has done nothing wrong. The man just wanted to frame him," Sadfist answers. How did the detective figure that out? Someone rewound the tape in the recorder to the very beginning. It's unlikely that the nephew did it. He'd get rid of the recorder. The detective leaves the office, gets into the elevator, and meets an old concierge. They go down very slowly. The concierge looks attentively at the buttons. The detective asks him what's the matter. The concierge answers that 5 people live on the 35th floor. 3 live on the 20th floor. 4 people live on the 7th floor. And 7 people live on all other floors. The building has 40 floors in total. The concierge asks, which elevator button is pressed most often? What do you think? The answer is the first floor button. It's pressed by every resident. The detective gets into the car and drives to a cafe. He hasn't eaten anything since yesterday. He orders an omelet and opens a newspaper. There's a riddle on the front page. In the winter, a guy went to a nearby village to meet with his friends. He knew he needed to go through a forest, a small field, then a forest again, and only after that would he reach his goal. The guy started his journey. He went through the forest, the field, another forest. But then, he saw a big river. How can he cross it? The detective grins because he knows the answer. And what about you? It was winter. The river was frozen. A waiter approaches Sadfist and puts his omelet with coffee on the table. The detective eats, then calmly gets up from the table and heads to the kitchen. There, he meets a masked robber. The detective arrests him. How did he know there was a criminal in the kitchen? Rob in kitchen was written on the coffee mug. The robber is detained by other police officers, and Sadfist goes back to his car. He has a new case. He arrives at an antique store. Some swindler has deceived the store owner and sold him a fake coin. The coin has a date on it, 175 BCE. It looks old. The analysis has shown that the coin is ancient. The store owner says he thought it was really made before the current era. How did he eventually understand the coin was a fake? People who lived before our era couldn't write BCE on their coins. Sadfist leaves the store. Oh no, his shoes are torn. The detective gets into his car and goes to a shoe store. He parks, gets out of his car, and he sees 3 stores. The best shoes in the city, the sign on the first building claims. "The best shoes in the world" is written on the second building, but the inscription on the third store is the best. Detective Sadfist smiles and goes there. What's written on the third store? The best shoes on the street. After doing some shopping, Sadfist drives down the street and sees a group of suspicious people standing next to a building under construction. The detective stops the car. People notice him and run away in the other direction. The detective runs after them. It seems they've managed to escape, but Sadfist doesn't think so. He calls for backup and tells the police he's caught a gang of hooligans. They're all hiding in a transformer box. How did the detective know that? After all, he lost sight of the hooligans at some point. The hooligans ran on uncured concrete and left footprints leading to the transformer box. Oh no! Now, Sadfist's new shoes are stained with wet concrete. The detective gets into the car and goes to the laundry. There he meets the owner, who finds out about another crime. The owner claims that someone has taken a huge amount of money from his safe. But the detective realizes that there was no thief. The owner stole the money himself to get compensation from the insurance company. Sadfist has noticed this laundry gets robbed too often, but the owner hasn't changed the locks or strengthened security yet. But how can the detective prove the money hasn't been stolen? There are banknotes in that washing machine over there. That's where the owner hid the money. Tired, the detective returns home. His apartment is a mess. Since she left him, the house has turned into a dump. A mouse squeaks somewhere in the room. Inspect the apartment and help Sadfist catch the rodent. See that box with a hole? It looks like the mouse has chewed through it. Sadfist catches the tiny animal, but does nothing to it. He decides it will be his pet. The detective's mood is as bad as it always is. But maybe checking your score will cheer him up. 0 to 3 points. Detective Sadfist has only gotten sadder because you haven't helped him much in his investigation. 4 to 7 points. Not bad for an ordinary private detective, but it's unsatisfactory for Sadfist, the best detective in the city. Next time, try to be more attentive. 8 to 10 points. Well, it's better, but still not good enough. It's like having eaten a burger and still feeling a little hungry. 11 to 14 points. Today, the city can sleep peacefully. You've helped the detective in almost all cases. He deserves his long-awaited rest. And you do too.
Lily had problems at college because her logical thinking was weak. One day, her teacher said, "I'll give you one last riddle. If you fail, I will expel you from college." A farmer had 17 cows. All but 5 escaped. How many cows does the farmer have now? Lily didn't manage to give a correct answer. Can you do it? The riddle said all but 5 escaped, which means all others except the 5 cows escaped. So the farmer has 5 cows now. It's tricky because it's too simple. The teacher kicked Lily out of college. She was collecting her stuff in her dorm room and crying. Suddenly, a letter flew into her window. It was an invitation to study at the School of Magic addressed to her. At the bottom of the letter, she saw this code and the words, "See you there." Lily got very excited. She packed her backpack and ran away. Where did she run to? She ran to the library. In the library, Lily met a weird guy looking like a wizard. He opened 3 magical portals, but only one of them was safe. The first portal leads inside a massive black hole. The second portal will bring her to the year 9999, and the third portal leads to a group of ghosts. If Lily chooses the right way, she will get to the School of Magic. Which portal should she choose? The third one. Ghosts can be scary, but they're usually not dangerous, while the first two options are too risky. Lily found herself in a beautiful, snowy forest. Suddenly, 4 male ghosts surrounded her and said, "We'll show you the way to your new school if you spot one fake ghost among us." Can you help Lily find the fake? There it is. Ghosts don't breathe. The ghost took Lily to a castle. When she entered its hall, she faced 4 female ghosts. They surrounded her and said, "We'll show you the way to the principal's office if you guess which one of us isn't a ghost." Did you figure it out? This lady has a shadow. Lily entered the office and noticed 5 ghosts there. They asked her the same riddle and promised to show her a secret door. Can you spot the pretender? It's this guy right here. Ghosts don't eat. Lily opened a secret door and met 3 women, but only one of them is the principal. Can you guess who? It's the second lady. Her jacket is hanging on the principal's chair. The principal greeted Lily and offered her to solve a riddle right away. There are 2 rows of potion bottles on 2 shelves. Lily has to move just 1 bottle on the top row so that they'll be in the same order as the bottles in the bottom row. Can you help her? Pour the potion from the first bottle into the 4th bottle and move the now empty bottle all the way to the right. The principal congratulated Lily on getting accepted to the School of Magic and asked the ghost to show her the dorm room. Lily fell asleep very quickly, but in the middle of the night, she woke up floating out of her window. 2 students prepared a welcome prank for her. Lily found herself on a castle roof. The 2 students in masks said, "We'll set you free if you guess this riddle." There are 4 frogs in the vertical row and 5 frogs in the horizontal row. Lily has to move just 1 frog so that there are 5 frogs in each row. Can you help her? Yep, just like that. Easy. The students wrote 5 words in the air using their magic wands. Then they asked Lily to take a look at the words and find the odd one out. Can you name it? The board doesn't belong here because it doesn't form a word if you read it backward. The wizards opened a portal and pushed Lily inside. The portal took her to a creepy basement where Lily found 3 doors. There's a wild jungle with a hungry gorilla behind the first door. Behind the second door, there's a river with wild alligators waiting to eat Lily. And there's a huge angry cobra behind the third door. Which way should Lily go? She should pick the first one. She can distract the gorilla with all these bananas. Next morning, Lily went to her first class, but someone locked the door. Lily pushed the door and noticed a screen with a riddle. It said, "Find an odd detail out and I'll let you in." Can you see it? This one is not an S. Lily opened the door and faced another door with a similar riddle. Can you help her? This guy doesn't belong here. The last door offered Lily this riddle. In 2 seconds, she entered the classroom and started her studies. What detail did she notice? This one, right here. During the class, a teacher offered Lily to find 3 differences between these 2 pictures. Can you see them? That's right, here they are. How about these images? Can you see 3 differences? I didn't see this one coming. Can you help Lily spot 3 differences here? Good job! I hope you got them all. Lily came to the dining room for lunch. Plates full of food appeared out of the air. But Lily's classmate, Mike, warned her that only one dish is actually edible. Can you help Lily figure out which one? This delicious-looking spaghetti has rusty nails in it. This food isn't even real. Take a look, it's translucent. This salad contains worms. Ew. And this taco looks pretty good. After lunch, Lily had a botany lesson. The teacher went to the garden to pick fruits from one apple tree and prepare a special healing potion. The tree has 18 branches. Each branch has exactly 14 boughs. Each bough has 7 twigs. And each twig has 2 fruits. How many oranges will the teacher pick? Lily instantly gave the correct answer. Can you name it? The teacher won't bring any oranges. They don't grow on apple trees. Lily went apple picking with Mike. On the way back, they met 4 of their classmates. There were only 5 apples in the basket. Lily had to divide them equally between the students. But 1 apple had to remain in the basket she'd bring to class. How would she divide the apples? She can give 4 apples to the classmates, leaving 1 apple in the basket for Mike, and then walk to class with Mike. In the evening, Lily found one of her roommates unconscious in the backyard. The principal questioned 3 suspects. Mike went to bed early and loud noises woke him up. Leah was watching her favorite show. She didn't go outside at all. Kelly was carving pumpkins to spice up the living room, and she didn't see anything suspicious. Who's lying? Looks like Kelly is lying. The room isn't decorated, and the pumpkins aren't finished. Next day, Lily opened her closet and noticed that her favorite dress was missing. She spoke to 3 of her roommates. Leah said she'd spent all morning in the library. Kelly confessed that she had been on a secret date. And Vanessa despises all clothes from the human world. She doesn't even come close to it. Who's lying? Vanessa is lying. Look at her hat. It's made from the same fabric as Lily's dress. If human clothing is so disgusting to her, why does she wear it herself? Mike learned a new spell and turned his textbook into a fancy car. He invited Lily for a ride. 3 people were hitchhiking at a gas station. All of them looked pretty suspicious. Who should Lily and Mike give a ride to? This man doesn't cast a shadow. He's a vampire. This lady was bitten by a vampire. She'll soon turn into a vampire too, so it's not safe to offer her a ride. And this guy is just an ordinary man.
Oh yeah.
Lily entered a classroom and received a new riddle.
Oh yes.
4 wizards are lined up on some steps. They're all facing the same direction. A wall separates the 4th wizard from the remaining 3. The first wizard can see the 2nd and 3rd wizard. The 2nd wizard can only see the 3rd one. The 3rd wizard can see none of the others. And the 4th wizard can't see any of the others either. All wizards are wearing hats. They are told there are 2 white hats and 2 black hats. The wizards initially don't know what color hat they're wearing. Their task is to shout out the color of the hat they are wearing as soon as they know for certain what color it is. They're not allowed to turn around or move. They're not allowed to talk to each other or take their hats off. Who is the first person to shout out and why? The 2nd wizard will shout out the answer after some time. Here's why. Wizards 3 and 4 cannot see the others' hats. Wizard 1 sees a white hat and a black hat and knows his hat can be black or white. Wizard 2 sees 1 black hat, but if he's also wearing a black hat, it would be obvious to Wizard 1 that he's wearing a white hat. Since Wizard 1 didn't shout out, Wizard 2 concluded that he himself was wearing a white hat. Lily, Mike, Leah, and Mason were having a party in Mike's room to celebrate successfully passing a test. The next day, they found Mike unconscious, and none of his friends knew what had happened to him. When the principal showed up, She saw a note next to Mike's calendar. It read 3, 4, 9, 10, 11. That very second, the principal knew who did it. What about you? It was Mason. The note was next to a calendar. Take the first 3 letters, transform them into months, and you get Mason. 3 equals March, 4 stands for April, 9 means September, 10 equals October, and 11 is November.